another day in this godforsaken town.
Hey, Squidward, what you doing?
Oh, just enjoying the peace and quiet before you barged over here.
Aw, come on, Squidward. Don't be like that. I want to hang out.
Fine, but keep your voice down. Some of us are trying to relax.
Hey guys, did you know an earthquake is the shaking of the surface of the Earth resulting from the sudden release of energy in the Earth's lithosphere that creates seismic waves? Earthquakes can be violent enough to toss people around and damage buildings.
Patrick, what the fuck are you talking about now?
The focus of most earthquakes is within a few tens of kilometers of the Earth's surface. Earthquakes are between your 70 earthquakes are 7,000.
Wow, Patrick, you're so smart. Tell us more.
The point of initial rupture of an earthquake is called its focus or epicenter. Center is the point directly above and at the Earth's surface. During an earthquake, the ground starts shaking first at the epicenter. The onset of shaking at the epicenter is called the point shadow zone. Waves may take several seconds to reach the nearest seismograph networks, the delay being greater for more distant stations.
This is all fascinating, Patrick, but could we talk about something else? Like literally anything else?
An earthquake's point of initial rupture more than 500 below the Earth's surface, generally deeper than 300 is called an intraplate earthquake. They are relatively rarer. A notable example of an intraplate earthquake was the 2008 Illinois earthquake. Most intraplate earthquakes are due to movement along faults within the crust, such as faulting caused by mountains, building stress.
Ooh, I love learning new things. What y'all got? Bad.
At the Earth's surface, earthquakes manifest themselves by shaking and sometimes displacing the ground. The epicenter of a large earthquake is located offshore of seabed may be displaced sufficiently to cause a tsunami. Earthquakes also trigger landslides and may cause fires by damaging electrical power or gas lines. As a major hazard to humans, earthquakes have been responsible for the loss of thousands of lives and significant property destruction.
That's great, Patrick. You've managed to depress me even further. Congratulations.
A magnitude 6 point earthquake is approximately 31.7 gigatons of energy. Each whole number increase in magnitude represents a tenfold increase in measured amplitude.
Holy shit, that's crazy. I had no idea earthquakes were so powerful.
The Richter scale, developed in the 1930s by Charles Francis Richter, is a logarithmic scale that assigns a magnitude number to quantify the size of an earthquake. Richter magnitudes are usually determined from the logarithm of the magnitude of waves recorded by seismograph.
Okay, that's enough earthquake facts for today. Patrick, why don't you go bother Sandy with this shit instead?
Moment magnitude scale was introduced in the 1970s to succeed the local magnitude scale. Subsequent scales are adjusted to agree with the surface wave magnitude. The 1990s saw the development of methods that work in the time domain to yield estimates of seismic potency, which has been termed the seismic moment. The moment magnitude is a more accurate measure than, since is nowadays the preferred magnitude, notably for larger quakes.
Whoa, my brain hurts. You sure know a lot about earthquakes. buddy?
Tectonic boundaries with a relatively low rate of convergence correspond to zones of distributed seismicity. A rate of convergence corresponds to zones of enhanced seismicity, defining linear belts of volcanoes and earthquakes. As quakes occur at the Hawaii volcano. Hawaii tectonic plates are moving beneath this area,
I think I'm going to vomit. All this earthquake talk is making me queasy.
The majority of tectonic plate boundaries are convergent boundaries, where two plates converge and one subducts the other, such as the Andean mountain building process. The subducting plate is overridden, carried down into the Earth's mantle, and recycled back into the convective mantle at the Earth discontinuity. The overriding plate is subject to increasing heat pressure and eventually partially melts into volcanic rocks. The process of subduction creates great depth earthquakes penetrating into the lower mantle. It defines the lithosphere part of the system of the subducting slab.
Wow! I never realized how complex earthquakes really are. Thanks for explaining it all to us, Patrick.
The most popular theory is that a clear correlation exists between subduction and the distribution of earthquakes today, and assumes that there is an increased flux of deep earthquakes in the direction of subduction. An exception to this correlation is found at continental rifts where earthquakes are common, but there is no subduction. This evidence for—
I'm leaving. I need to get away from you two idiots. Waltz off.
The setting in which earthquakes occur therefore occurs to control the form of the earthquake ruptures. 3 types of earthquakes are recognized depending on the orientation of the faulting normal, thrust reverse, and strike slip. Normal faulting occurs when the crust is being pulled apart at a divergent boundary. Reverse faulting occurs when the hang wall is pushed upwards over the footwall. Strike slip faulting occurs when the blocks on either side of the fault slip horizontally past each other. Neither is created nor destroyed. Different types of earthquakes generate different kinds of ruptures and strain fields in the Earth's. Tectonic earthquakes are crises that release accumulated stress in the Earth's lithosphere.
Well, I learned a lot today thanks to you, Patrick. You're the best friend ever.
Final stage of the earthquake rupture process is the propagation of the 2 opposing sides of the rupture surface away from the epicenter at the Rayleigh wave speed. Releasing violent oscillations. After the passage of the seismic wave trains, the closed system will reach to a state of little motion. Note that there is always some residual deformation near any fault havers. The continuous activity of the active fault will assure continuation of slip up until the next earthquake. Aftershocks follow the same pattern as almost all structural processes and can continue for days, months, or years after the main shock as they did after the Northridge earthquake.
Alrighty then. I'm gonna head on now. See ya later, Patrick.
The frequency of aftershocks decreases with time according to Amori's law, which means that the rate of aftershocks decays with the reciprocal of time after the main shock. Therefore, the ratio of geometric parameters varies widely between different classes of objects. It must be understood in each case. The sale of the problem sets the agenda for data collection. It is impossible to stretch nor is it possible to slow down seismic velocities by the same factor so as to record the complete propagating field.
Good night, Patrick. Sweet dreams.
Your use of laboratory data limited as they inevitably contain a far higher percentage of error than the field data and have a relatively low reliability. And your problem is also hindered by the extremely long-term constants involved in the deformation process and the ubiquitous presence of fluid saturates. So these complications, solutions, particularly hysteresis. The latter question is still in its early stages of development. Therefore, Miller feels that the picture provided by the preceding sections is the most consistent with the data that can be formulated at the present time. To expand on it, adds nothing to the discussion. Unfortunately, once again the answer is the same. There is no easy road to the unique topological feature we interest ourselves in.